Hi friends and welcome back. This is the Play Along Journal series where I work through a handmade art journal from beginning to end, taking you along for every step of the process. I hope that you guys have enjoyed following along so far. I post the full episodes here on YouTube and little previews over on Instagram. So if you're not subscribed here on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can be notified and follow along. And all my other updates, I usually post on Instagram. All the insider information is in my email newsletter. I try not to send out too many, but just enough for you guys to know what is going on. So the second round of pre-orders just ended for the Play Along journals. So if you ordered one in the second round, I'm hoping in the next couple weeks those will be done, and then you guys can start playing along as well. And you'll already have several videos to get you started. So I started out by getting a little bit of a base down on the page. Sometimes that blank page can be very intimidating, even though there's text on the left side and there's craft paper on the right side. So it's not your typical white blank page fear that you feel, but it's still blank. Like in my head, those are still plain papers. So I often like to start with some sort of scribbling, and Stabilo's a great choice because you can add water to it. I want to bring in a few collage elements here, but I am trying to not just use paper. I want to use different substrates, different materials, and fabric is one of my other true loves. I come from a quilting background, so I love all the patterns that you can find in fabric. And so I really try to bring all of my interests together in this mixed media art journaling world. That's why I feel so at home with this style of art, is because I can just combine everything that I love. I can have the stitching, I can have the painting, the drawing, all the writing utensils that I've been obsessed with since a kid. Going back to school shopping was always my favorite time because it meant new office supplies. I know that there's others out there that can relate, and I can just bring all of those things together. And I find that my interests kind of ebb and flow, but with this mixed media art journal, you can take whatever you're interested in right now in the moment and bring it together all to one. So I'm just adhering that to the page with a glue stick. You could use something else, but since we're not, these pages are not going to be roughed around much, or they don't need to be super strong. So I could use a Fabri-Tac, but this is just a really thin fabric. I mean, it's just a regular weight fabric. And so I'm not worried about it slipping down. Another option would be a heavy gel matte medium, but the glue stick is on hand. So that is what I use the most. Next up, I'm going to add some white gesso onto the page. I love the scribbles that I did, but I want to keep working at that page and seeing how it goes. I'm okay that I'm painting over part of the fabric there. I'm going up right against the sides and even going over. I don't want to treat the fabric as something different than the paper. I mean, I know that it is different, but I think in a way to experiment and to use things in an unexpected and new way, we need to kind of look at them like we wouldn't typically look at them. I think about that a lot with different supplies that especially if you've had like technical training or you've gone to art school or something, you know the proper quote unquote proper way to use something, but sometimes the best way to use something is in the wrong way. Add water with something that you normally wouldn't add water with, or smear the charcoal where it's supposed to be more pristine, or that's not a good example, but you know what I mean. Just think about things in a different way. Those rules that we set for ourselves are really only limiting us in the long run. So I encourage you to try to think about the supplies that you already have on hand in a different way. So I'm using a solid marker here. It's a solidified paint marker. It's a really fun supply. It is permanent once dry. It's kind of, if you were to feel it, it's a bit tacky there on the surface. Until it is dry. So I'm just adding in some art marks. I added a little bit on the left side. I'm thinking about what goes under that tag, as well as how it looks once that tag flap is closed. I want to think about all aspects. I love to think about my journals as an interactive kind of event or kind of fun to go through. The more that you look at them, the more that you touch them, the more that you learn about them and discover. I'm adding in some white art marks on top of the white gesso, and I love this white on white effect, or a tone on tone effect, you could say, because just right off the beginning, you can't see it all that much, but the closer that you look, the more detail that you can see. I like having those little hidden details that are kind of a little surprise or a little reward for you when you look at them closer, look at them in a deeper way. Those white lines are not quite as bold as I would like them to be, and so I'm coming back in with my Posca marker on top of the lines that I just did. I don't know if I had my white fluid correction pen at the time of filming this. Otherwise, now that is what I would have used because it is such a wonderful, bold white mark. I don't have the best luck with white Posca markers. I love Posca markers, don't get me wrong, but for some reason my white ones just never work very well. They're more liquidy than they need to be, like clear liquidy. And so I do love that fluid correction pen. I will link that down below, as well as all the other supplies that I use. If I know where they're from, I will let you know. If I miss something, just leave a comment and I'll try to get back to you on where that is from. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and I cannot wait to see you later in the week. Have a good one.